Hello chicos and chicas, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Speedrun Reno, where we are behind the black pieces against the bishop opening against our esteemed opponent who goes by the name of Stankware. And we are going to put a horsey on f6 because we developed knights before bishops. But actually what's cooking here is that we are going to play here a very interesting pawn move, pawn to c6. Now the idea behind this move, you could argue that this is not principled at all because we are not developing. As a matter of fact, we are blocking the path of the knight. But there is something else cooking here, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is the fact that once I played c6, a subsequent d5 was virtually unstoppable. And that's exactly what we are going to play now. Now, when you play d5, you need to be a little bit careful because e5 is already hanging. So after takes, there is a check, which seems like it leads to a loss of a pawn. But then I have got bishop d7, which hangs the bishop. And when they take the bishop, I take back with the knight just to arrive on time to protect the pawn on e5. So that is our theory. This is, by the way, my recommended line 2 in the club players 1, e4, e5 black repertoire chessable course. Check, bishop d7, tuck, and once again you can see that beautifully developing and obtaining the center. This is what principled chess looks like, and this is what most people unconsciously walk past it and don't notice that, oh, this is everything one is meant to do in an opening. Look at it. I'm black. We played 8 moves and I'm dominating the center, and I have got perfect minor piece development. I mean, perfect is a bit of a stretch. Preferably I would like to have this knight here, but that would be too nice to be true. Okay, one good move, by the way, pinning everybody and just on time again. We're castling out of trouble. White maybe was threatening already to take back, and then d4, regaining the piece potentially with interest. So castling was definitely a handy move to aim for. Bishop g5 was also anticipated. The pin doesn't exactly hurt us here, and the main reason for that is because the pawns are safely protected. Now my gut instinct is to play h6. And I'm thinking if then bishop takes, then I have to take with the queen, because knight takes drops the pawn. And if I take with the queen, then knight c3 is a tad awkward to meet, with the d5 pawn hanging, and I don't really want to play queen e6. It doesn't feel right. Knight b6 may be playable, but then a4 and d4, of course, forces the knight to the center. Oh, actually, that may be alright, because then after knight e7, queen e7, knight d6, queen d6, we have got a bit of a pawn issue here. The alternative to all this nonsense, I was gonna say is queen b6, but if I do that, then again bishop f6, knight, oh, but then there is no knight e5, because bishop takes, rook takes, queen takes b2, forks the rooks. Okay, let's get out of the pin then with the tempo, and we are golden. We are golden. This is always the downside of developing the bishop before the knight. Now, of course, we know that we are not meant to go on a pawn hunt, except, am I developed? Yes. Is my king secured? Yes. Am I better phased in the center, better poised in the center? Yes. So, is it far more likely that I can now go after a pawn that has been left somewhat unprotected? Also yes. So that is all is what's going on here. So yeah, if knight c3 I can take b2. Luckily we are hitting c3, so there is no time for rook b1, rook b7. If bishop takes, knight takes, once again they can't take e5 because bishop takes, rook takes, and queen here. And queen c1 is definitely an ugly move. This is not a move you would willingly want to play. Bishop c5 is my first candidate now to further trouble my opponent, or better still, oh, so good game, e4, because this is what I teach, that when a developed knight can be kicked, especially with the central thrust, that is your first go-to move. So I'm already forgetting about bishop c5, because I like e4 more. A lot of players here make the very serious mistake, although in this position I think I would get away with it, of playing rook e8 here to prepare e4. But why or why would I prepare e4 if it's good to go? Right? No need. So let's go. If takes, takes. And something that I didn't really calculate, which I really should have, and I'm kind of regretting my laziness in this department, is that after d, knight d2, if I play rook e8, then after knight c3, this pawn is quite heavily under attack. Now, if I don't have any tactical means of hurting white, I always have queen c6 in the end of that to cover up the pawn. But, of course, if knight d2, we can consider such moves like knight g4, because we are hitting both of these. But then maybe knight e4, bishop h2, and then king somewhere is not that bad. This move is interesting. It's a euphemism for bad. So the idea behind this is fundamentally sound. I like it. The idea behind bishop e3 is that my opponent is looking to kick the queen so that the knight can then go to d4 rather than having to go back to d2, right? Now that makes perfect sense. No worries. The problem here is that now I am moving from Chess Principles Reloaded Center and Chess Principles Development, Chess Principles Reloaded Development, which I have scored amazing goals in both. Note Center, hello. Development, hello. And now we go on to my third course, Chess Principles Reloaded King Safety, in which course I talk about the fact that an e4 pawn by black and an e5 pawn by white is an incredible asset to any kingside attack, because by default their existence means that the most common and best defender of the kingside is compromised. It has to go. So in my head, when I look at this position, I'm already thinking about how to exploit the absence of the knight. And in fact, I'm calculating with knight d4 because I assumed that that was the purpose of bishop e3. So this is what's cooking here. I looked already at, while speaking, at queen h5, queen a5, knight d4, queen h5. But then they have h3. And then I realized that that may not be the end of the road for me or for them, because then I can slide back to e5, renewing the threat, provoking g3. Then I can swing back to h5 again, hitting h3. Alternatively, after queen a5, knight d4, I can start on e5, provoking g3, and then slide further on to h5, introducing the new threat of knight g4. And that is exactly what I'm hoping to do. So I'm thinking knight d4 is coming, and then we are going to go took, and then took a slide on. Good stuff. I'm surprised that my opponent is thinking, because I thought that bishop e3 was a definite intention to, you know, follow it up with knight d4. Knight d2 is a defense. Ooh. Hello. Oh, never mind. I thought for a second that I even had Greek gift, but of course bishop f4 is there. So knight d2 may be a better way, surprisingly, because that allows white to then hold the king side with a knight on f1. So now we go queen e5. That was the plan all the way. g3 is essentially forced. And then we slide on to h5 with the dual concepts of knight g4 and also knight e5, knight f3. So this is how a kingside attack is going to unfold. And by the way, from a pawn central, from a pawn structure perspective, when you have got this pawn formation of 2 versus 1, excuse me, it's begging for an e4 break. And if you break with e4, then you absolutely must be thinking about kingside play, right? So if you look at some of the patterns of my play in this speedrun series, you will find that at various points or in various games, when I have dominant center, I often try to translate that into gaining space in the center / kingside in order to pursue a kingside initiative slash attack. Now, this sounds a little bit far-fetched in the sense that it doesn't always work out, and you should always tailor your plans in any position to the specifics of the position, not to your desire or your preferred style. It doesn't matter how much I like to attack on the king side. If the position disallows it, I shouldn't even attempt. But luckily for us, or for me, here with the e4 break, the kicking of the knight from f3, you could see that I could very comfortably build toward this lovely position with kingside attack. Now, knight g4 and knight e5 are both playable. If knight g4, h3... Yeah, I feel like I don't want to preempt or use this too soon. Let's just improve our pieces. Put your pieces in the center. This is one of the best games I've ever played in this series as far as the all three principles concerned, because, yeah, I'm just scoring goals everywhere. Yeehaw. So, yeah, knight e5. h3 or queen d1. Now, I thought queen d1 was a bit sus, because now if... Oh, which knight? Okay. So if knight g4, h3, knight e3, fe3, the benefit of going with this knight is that we open this one up. So knight g4, h3, knight e3, rook can't take because the queen is hanging, so the pawn has to take back. And then after queen g6, we have got an incredibly awkward threat on g3. If I go this way, h3, take, take, then I could trade queens and play knight c4, hitting this pawn and this pawn, which also looks good. I'm going to go for the keeping the queens on version because it's more fun. Yep, check. Now, I don't know if I should go here or here. In fact, it may be queen g5, because I was thinking earlier that if queen g6, knight e2 defends the pawn. But if I go queen g5, the knight e2 can be met. Oh, no, it can't. Because this is... Oh, no. Tragic, tragic, tragic. That was very, very unfortunate. We will have to come back to this moment of what would have happened after fe. All right, so... I'm still very happy with how this game went. In the sense that I managed to demonstrate all three principles remarkably well. Okay, so take, take. And since I'm on this account, which is not promoted to, you know, Diamond or whatever, I don't have access to engine or game reviews anymore. So now we are going to do this absolutely remarkably awesome thing that humans call chess game analysis, where I'm going to try to get to the bottom of things without the assistance of the engine. So, if they took back with the pawn, once again, my idea was queen g5. It may be queen g6, I don't know. And if g4 then queen here is terminal because both of these checks can't be stopped. So knight e2 is forced. And now I see why this is losing. It's because of rook d8. And now I have got the discovery of here, as well as... Oh. Okay, I'm still not a... Oh, yes! Queen c1, then I have this. Oh, yes. Yes, baby. That's beautiful. And if knight g3, then knight h5, and this is not defensible. That is awesome. Develop your pieces, folks. So let's go further back, because I think it was quite instructive. So we caught the center. We then hung on to the center. We then highlighted the bishops before knights problem for our opponent by hitting the Achilles heel of the position, the b2 pawn. It was protected, and I immediately switched. I'm so glad I didn't play bishop c5 here. e4, man, all the way. All the way. Okay, apparently queen a5. The only tool I have, I can see the bar on the side. Oh, what am I? Oh, queen c7 wins the pawn. Oh, you potato. Oh, ouch. I was so happy with this game, and then Oh, man. That's embarrassing. Okay, fair enough. Got busted there a little bit. But I think the rest of the attack was played out beautifully. And I'm very proud of the fact that here too I calculated both knights, because both can go, and so you need to make a compare contrast scenario, figure out which one is better, and choose accordingly. And I determined that the correct way to go was to open up the diagonal so that this becomes a soft spot. And indeed I was correct. So after knight e2 I trust I'm correct about rook d8. And yeah, it is absolutely terminal. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it for this speedrun episode. I absolutely hope that you enjoyed this. I think it was really, really cool and very instructive. I hope to see you in the next video. Please don't forget to leave a comment down below. Press the like button, sub if you haven't done so. Super thank me if you can afford it. A little goes a long way, as they say. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.